And then I'll stick it over here. It's also entirely possible that I don't have it on whatever sound setting it needs to be on.
Right.
I wonder if it needs to be here.
Maybe. No, but I don't see this. I don't see it like moving at the bottom, so that makes me feel like it's not. Warren, can you tell me if you can hear me? Oh, you can't, because you can't hand.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yes.
You can hear me? Can you hear me better than you could at the last meeting?
I don't know. I was driving the last time. I'm on my laptop now, so I don't know. The audio was really tough earlier though. It was boomy.
Does it sound better now?
I don't know. It's kind of your mic honestly was like one of the better ones, and yours sounds boomier now than it did in the last meeting.
You want to try somebody else? Maybe Kat, if you want to try talking real quick? Just talk without the mic.
Hello.
Yeah, no, that's better.
Dumber than that.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can surely hear you better than before.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt.
So we all have to yell is the thing.
I also saw lights on the microphone too.
I do too. I think it has to be, is
There
it,
it
is
is
it
in
audio?
green.
Is
Hello?
it an audio option under the mute?
I do hear it. It's I mean, like, it's definitely picking you up, because
It's
like,
green now.
Can you hear?
Hello,
he
testing.
said he could hear us much better, so I think we're good, guys.
So
It might need
that's why we
batteries.
carry this then? Is this what we use then?
Yeah, but it might need batteries.
That's the microphone. Let's just scream.
All right, why don't we get going? Do we have quorum from,
Yes, we have quorum.
okay, and we do too.
YPAC has quorum. Welcome. It is June 27th, 2024. This is the joint meeting between HRC and YPAC. So exciting that we're all here at the library. To discuss to further discuss the goal of creating a community forum. And at the last meeting, we talked about having a series of different times and I know, but I was just sort of, to welcome you. Thank you. So given that HRC is still part of the Opens Meetings Act, we need to have roll call taken. So is that you?
Sure. All right, so I will do the Police Advisory Commission first. So Gail,
Here.
Eric,
Present.
Kathleen. Sorry, typing too. Herman.
Present.
And then I couldn't remember when I was doing this. Is Sasha still a part of the commission?
Sasha is no longer.
She no longer is, right? That's what I thought. And as I was doing it, I apologize for that mistake on the agenda. Okay, and so that is, everybody is present. And then HRC, Jennifer.
Present.
Brittany,
Present.
Justin,
Present.
Juanita,
Present.
Olivia is not present. Daniel
Present.
and Catherine.
Here.
All right, and that is everybody.
So can we take a moment to go around the circle because you all aren't sitting in the order in which your names are listed here. And so So just so I can write them down, so I can address people by names, so that'd be lovely. I'll start. My name's Gail. I'll pass it.
Herman. Daniel. Justin.
Brittany.
Pat,
Anita.
Jennifer,
Jeremy.
Kathy.
Short names.
Justin, after Justin is
Brittany.
Brittany.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Juanita, Catherine. And Connie.
Excuse me.
Motion to approve tonight's agenda. Has everybody looked at it, read it? Any questions or changes? Clarification?
For just a clarification for the facilitator, are we willing to consider 2 facilitators possibly? Or is it just this conversation gonna be centered around 1 specifically? Are we allowed to just talk about 2? Okay, cool. Okay, great. Okay, great. Okay.
Absolutely.
Cool, perfect then. I'm good then. Thank you.
Because B would fit under after we went through 1 and 2, and then the potential candidates on the flip side, because everybody was supposed to send names to. So
Perfect.
then it would be defining what we want. This was my mind, and then we would vote on how to
Awesome.
get there.
Thank you.
And my understanding is some were not, at least my understanding, according to how I did the agenda, was that some were only nominated as a mediator and some were nominated as a facilitator.
Okay, we can clarify it as we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that, are people comfortable with that? Okay.
Yeah, I make a motion to strike Michaela Ayers off the list of potential candidates. She's no longer available. I can also just say no to her in that time if that's easier. Just wanted to let everyone know that as soon as I could.
How about when we do that? So keep her on,
Okay,
and then we can do it formal.
perfect.
Here, I don't see a place on here that speaks to funding.
Would you like to add funding? Okay, so you have to make a motion. Yeah, because we're changing the agenda.
I still move to be to the agenda, to the discussion items, funding of the.
Yeah. So like letter E, be funding.
Somewhere before we.
You need, do we have to take a vote?
So I think that you can just do that as a part of like approving the agenda with the amendment.
So I propose that we add E to funding to the agenda and to Kat's discussion of eliminating somebody. We'll keep the person on until we discuss.
So I think Herman already moved it and then somebody already seconded it. Who was it?
Justin.
Justin seconded it. So I think that we have to just vote.
Oh. Vote to approve the agenda at the same time as adding
I
Herman's
can't say.
amendment.
Right, yep.
That would be you. Vote to approve.
I.
Aye. Vote negative. We'll have to give the other side equal time. Okay. Thank you. Minutes approval. There are
Yeah, there are no minutes.
no minutes. Public comment? Anybody have public comment who is in the room? Public comments? I know. Online. Do we have anybody public comments? 3 minutes for our joint special meeting?
It's like Corn is ready, would like to speak.
Yeah, Corn, Ipsy Township, at the HRC meeting just before this one, it was brought up that there was an effort, to pass a resolution to operationalize drug checking in the city of Ipsy at the last city council meeting that kind of failed, at a tie vote. We are hoping to get that put back on the agenda, and do a little bit more
Can you pause
education.
for a moment? We can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
This, can you,
Now, 1 second.
before you continue your 3-minute public comment, sorry.
Yeah, wait, can you hear me better now?
Nope, hang on 1 second.
What happened? You could hear me fine when I was talking about the audio, right?
We can hear you. We're just turning up the volume on our end.
Yeah,
What's the speaker?
Okay.
You can talk mic, it's mic for the.
I mean, it might, so now it's turned up, so I can get at least as loud as I can get the computer.
Basically technology, it needs sense.
Yes.
No.
All right, is this, is this any better?
A little.
A little?
Trying
Really quiet. Maybe some like today.
All right, go for it. Want to try it now?
All right, well, so we're trying to start a drug checking program in Ipsy. We have support from the prosecutor's office, but not from Chief Moore. And so we would like to ask for you guys to schedule another joint meeting of Human Relations Commission and YPAC so that we can do a presentation on what drug checking services are and why we would like to offer them. There's tons of data on how these services save lives. And so, yeah, I would just like for you guys today to schedule another meeting so that we can address this. It would be great if you could forward a joint resolution from both of your commissions in support of policy to operationalize these services in Ipsy. We already have a nonprofit. We already have funding for a machine and a location. So what we're waiting on is the policy to put in place so that participants can utilize services and so staff doesn't end up getting arrested trying to help people.
All right, thank you.
Hey, what happened? I guess I can't. I wonder what happens with the sheriffs.
So, so this is called, Cornelius, for clarification, this is Gail, this is called drug checking?
Yes, drug checking services. And so basically what it is it's a way to offer informed consent to people who use drugs. The reason so many people are dying, as everybody knows, is because the drug supply is getting more and more toxic. So one way to reduce the number of fatalities is letting people know how toxic their sample actually is. And so it would be a center where people could actually bring in substances that they're using actively, and we could tell them, hey, this has enough fentanyl in it to kill you. You shouldn't use this. If you still feel like you have to use it, you absolutely cannot use it alone. Please bring in the person that you're going to be using with so we can train them on how to appropriately administer rescue breaths and how to administer naloxone. So there's risk reduction counseling that goes along with these services, and it's evidence-based that it reduces overdose fatalities substantially. And the reason this is so important is because Ipsy is the highest municipality in Washtenaw County in overdose deaths, and the second highest only to Detroit in Washtenaw and Wayne County.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak? If so, please raise your hand.
So people bring their drug in to get it tested with the test strips.
No, it's a machine.
It's a machine in this case.
Yeah, it tells you like what is in there.
Okay, but I could like hear.
They
bits
do
and
have
pieces.
test strips available too there, but it's a drug checking machine.
Okay, let's just try and get clarifications if we can.
For sure.
Thank you.
All right, I think that's it for public comment.
So, awesome, thank you very much. Any more comments? No? You're doing awesome. You're doing good. Discussion items, if we could just go over and discuss the goals for the community forum, the mental health. We do have one of the things we left, tasks that we left having from the last meeting was to come up with places and times, and Herman followed up with Perry School, and we have one as soon as July 10th for a community forum. So which is awesome. So thank you.
Thank you, Herman.
So it's thank you. So I would just goals. Like, what is the goal of the first community forum? Because this is the first of 3, if my notes serve me correctly.
Yes.
I have. Okay.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think it would be also good to leave some of it flexible too with like the facilitators input as well, like how we reach these goals as well, because my brain can't sometimes think about how to attain certain goals, but I know for me, a goal that I would personally like is people to know what resources exist in the community. We're very siloed, and just as an experience as a social service worker and social worker, a lot of people don't know what exists in the community around them, and a lot of that's just because of various reasons. So it might be helpful for people to know like a place where they can go to know where resources are, what resources exist, and how to get them. That's one goal I have. And also how to respond to crisis would be another one, like as a bystander, as a resident in the city, if I'm witnessing another individual experiencing a mental health crisis, what can I do as this bystander? To help keep this person safe and myself safe at the same time. That would be a goal for me.
Being able to listen. So to what are the fellow needs, what are the unique struggles that they're facing, they would like help with.
So being able to listen to community members
Yeah.
and how they might need help.
And I think if there are other, we can facilitate not just access to the resources, but to the relationships, where we can help be a bridge for people that are willing to really get involved in that. And a lot of these community members and putting those wraparound services. I know that sometimes individuals have refused to get the help that's there simply because the way that they're treated. And so getting people that genuinely and authentically care about our residents, I think is really big. And I think having some training around that or values around that to help to make people feel like they're not just another number, you know, and that they're really heard and really listened to. So that would be one of my goals, is to help healthy connections.
So may I ask a clarifying question?
Yep.
So was it provide training for people if they wanted to volunteer to be part of this bridge or creating a
Yes.
bridge to offer support? So to provide the training or have the people that have the training or both?
I think it's a combination of both. I think it would be really powerful as Katie shared about being able to provide our community members with the resources to know how do I address, you know, these very sensitive issues when they come up. And also while connecting them with social workers and programs like that, where you can have people that are willing to come out into the field, connect and build those relationships. And I think that I would love there to be some way to vet that, you know, where it's not just, here's another number, go through the motions.
Right.
But to actually have people that really get in there. And I think there's a lot of amazing social workers and community members and trained clinicians that are out there. But I think that's the real touch that would be a game changer for a lot of residents, especially dealing with this issue specifically.
So, yeah, I wanna. Yeah.
Yep.
So with Kat and you, I'm a visual person, okay, so when you see my eye rolling, it's kind of like he's seeing it, I'm not freaking out, but. So the first thing I was thinking is that the very first session is a place where we can identify whoever's participating there, can identify the agencies that we already have. I mean, you don't wanna try to reinvent something. So we can ask the facilitator or the mediator, whoever the person is, this is going to be part of what we're doing today. Is we're going to identify the agencies that are here. And then we're talking about having breakout rooms, and in the breakout sessions, that could be the place where you have individuals stating their specific needs, ideas, thoughts, how they need help, which is going, all that's gonna come back to the main group. You know what I'm saying? And then we've covered two things. We've covered the main one, which is, here are the agencies that are in Ypsilanti, you know, are located in our county. You know, that people have access to. If they can get to, that's gonna be a whole nother, I'm sure that's what people want to say, why, you know, I can't get to, you know, Washington Avenue, or I can't get to wherever this is. But that's gonna be the other part where, okay, so what is it that you need in order to access those specific resources? But this is what we give again, the facilitator mediator. Go ahead.
I agree with that. I think that's amazing. And something that percolated in my head when you were talking is, a process map essentially of like who all's where, who's doing what, and that would be a good activity. But I was also thinking to kind of go off of what you were saying, Daniel, and to add on to the resources part, like it might be interesting to even have these organizations table here. At at Perry. Thank you for doing that again, but it might be interesting to have people there as a tabling option as well for people to get connected. And something I thought of with relationships, would people feel open to like inviting a panel of people with lived experience in regards to mental health to talk and share? And then there's breakouts as well with like discussion of those conversations. I just think about how that could tie in with like connecting with people as humans and like connecting to humanity, and how I know A Brighter Way does a lot of work with people with mental illnesses and people in reentry programs. So it's like thinking about maybe having people with just lived experience on a panel.
I think that's a great idea, because sometimes the best way for a roadmap is to talk with someone's actual lived experience and how someone did it and emulating them.
And if somebody else is being vulnerable, allows other people to share and feel comfortable as well.
Totally.
But I see that as the second session.
Okay,
I'd say that we would add.
two,
That would be our second,
I would say
that would be
that would
session
be
number
two.
2.
okay.
And you invite people in that, again, with their lived experiences.
I thought we were doing a 3 series, 1 mental health,
Two
housing.
Agencies and resources that are here. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And then the discussion about how you can access or not access, get, you know, whether are the problem issues around that. Then the second one would be what you're talking about, having people who actively or have actively been involved and share their stories. And then again, have breakout sessions.
I see what you're saying.
But you always have breakout sessions. That each
Right.
one breakout component.
And these issues are all interrelated too. So it does make sense to have it at the second one, even if it is housing, they're all interrelated in a capacity. So I think that makes sense.
Because number 2, what you were correct, what we had talked about, that doesn't mean anything. It means a lot, but can be changed is number 1 was mental health, number 2 was housing, number 3 was
Safety.
what? Public safety.
Public safety.
That's what I have is public safety.
So that would be the police, that would be the police department.
Well, just public safety in general.
Just, okay. So physically, individual public safety.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I just wanna maybe also, if there's an element where we can bring, like a vocational side to this to help people find meaningful work. This also came out of, a type of therapy called Logos therapy that Viktor Frankl put together through Man's Search for Meaning. Fascinating study there, but dealing with trauma and the significance of helping people find meaning and value. And so what kind of occupations, what kind of jobs, what kind of, having purpose is really, and vision for the future that's good is really significant for the mental well-being of individuals, I think, as well. Also, just one last thing, maybe not one last thing, but one thing I would like to put out there as well is what would it look like to canvass those areas as well? How are we going to get the word out? Should we have a canvassing side of this to check on our community residents to see if they're interested in coming out? And some people dealing with mental illness have an aversion to certain technologies as well, because of fear or paranoia. And so how are we addressing those members of our community as well that normally wouldn't come out to something like this. So I think being able to have a more direct connection via canvassing, not just via social media to get the word out, may be a way to help.
Which to me, that information will come up in those breakout sessions, you know, in terms of what is it that you need? What is it you think the community needs? You know, so folks from the community will speak up with, okay, so I have friends who, you know, aren't comfortable with this kind of a setting. But if we had this going on, then that could be one of the things that we could, you know, move out of that and say, okay, so how do we address that?
Are you saying prior to the first meeting?
No, I'm talking about after.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm saying.
I'm saying that before the first meeting, I think it would be good to actually go out into the community.
Outreach people.
And actually
Yeah.
engage and go
So I
to,
thought
and
you were
if it's, you know, we have homeless camps, we have
Mhm.
different
I agree
areas.
with that.
I think having that personal touch of physically going into those places, not just sending an email out and saying,
Yes.
come residents,
Yes.
you know.
We have advertising as a.
As a section, yeah, I was gonna say under that, maybe we could talk about a subcommittee.
Can I rewind?
To do
What
that?
is the goal?
What is it? Oh, the goal.
You said, what is the goal?
But
So,
these are all great questions, because if we're gonna go out canvas, we need to have a goal. We have a list of over a dozen things, and when I think of goal, maybe I should have clarified it, and this is on me, is a goal is like 25 words, like an elevator. So if we were going to talk about something and say on July 10th, come to Perry School for a joint meeting or for a forum, first forum on
To address.
what are we going to, what are we going to say that's going to pull people in before, to
What do
address.
we want to do?
That's what we're talking about.
That's what I'm saying, I mean, 'cause
I mean,
So far, I have this
resources,
note.
I mean,
Yeah.
to address what are the mental health resources in the community? I mean, do we want to keep
That would be
it
one goal.
that short? I mean,
And
but
and
that's.
provides resources.
So like, but with resources, and also so when we advertise, we can have. The ability to advertise what we're doing. Am I,
No, yeah, I'm thinking that someone will probably need to volunteer to make like a flyer.
right, but we
And-
don't have to go.
Right,
First,
right.
let's get-
This is all in
This is
advertising.
what I'm saying, let's not skip the advertising yet, we gotta have. a
Yeah, but
goal, because a lot of people do mental health, and they're gonna tell you that mental health can be anything.
that's,
So we got what is different with us that has people coming in to say, hey, I need that, or that's interesting, or I want. It's gotta be something to capture, not just, oh, we wanna give you some resources, or we wanna do this. You see what I'm saying? What are we doing? What is our role
And this,
to develop this?
Should I take stack? Like, which is like writing people's names down as people raise their hand to wanna talk, so that way there's people, I can start writing names down. No, that's what people, it's not school, it's called stack. It's how you keep track of who wants to talk. Like Daniel, you.
Secretary,
I mean, I can be that, yeah. I just saw your hand raised, I just wanted to make sure.
but that's fine, and then I could cover.
Okay, but go ahead. You raised your hand.
Justin races before.
Oh, Justin, see, I'm writing it down now, go ahead.
So far, just from what I'm hearing, what we're talking about, we're gonna address it, right? We're gonna provide resources. With the resources will be avenues for us to go ahead and also engage with people and other things and topics that we talk about. So we probably want to find out what resources, I know we touched base about it last time, but what resources we want to go ahead and include in what we're doing. So just for a start saying, hey, okay.
But I'm not thinking we're gonna provide resources. My thinking is that we're going to identify. Because,
Well, I thought,
you know, do people know
and
what is out here?
if we can get people to come, we talked about vendors, if I'm not mistaken, people coming up.
Well, agencies.
Agencies
You know,
coming
we've
in.
already, you know, we've identified some agencies, but I'm sure there are other agencies that,
Right,
I don't know, we know.
Yeah,
of them
Yeah.
all.
it sounds like what we're wanting to do is a landscape type of assessment of like what exists, what doesn't exist, where do people want things to exist and how can we fill that in? Is that like the goal
Yeah, I think,
ultimately?
yeah, ultimately, if we can get that, that's gonna be really helpful.
So that kind of feels like a flow of like, first we have to identify what exists currently. And then after that, we have to find out what are the needs that are not being met and then where are the gaps, like, right? As
That was
a,
the basis of this was a town hall, which is
Right.
what we wanted people to come and talk
To
about
talk,
their
exactly.
issues.
Right,
So they'll bring up the
exactly.
gaps and the
Wait,
resources.
wait, Daniel has been patiently,
Oh, yes.
waiting. We can go back to
Stop
Daniel.
taking this.
Yeah, that didn't work.
I know,
And we
I
did,
stopped.
right, and we did.
Stop, I
So
stopped.
just so you know, Daniel,
I stopped.
Daniel was talking and then Brittany and then I'm sorry. Go ahead, and then Jennifer.
So when I think about like goals and building, I think about what are the for this, but I think the ability to start with the end in mind is really important. Because it is where do we want to ultimately go? What are we building for long-term supporting here? And I think that framework comes idealistically, it seems, from us values or particular virtues that we know that are kind of the main thing. And this is where, again, bringing in some of the research that has already been done along these lines, and helping to shift the culture around these stigmatized issues to be able to get the support that's necessary for our community members. And I really, so from I'll probably be on repeat here for a while. But I really think like if people can have those meaningful connections, you know, we can do a lot of things, but if that's not taking place, where people are authentically being able to be real and honest about what they're really going through. You can be into all of the therapy meetings you want. You know, it's not gonna make a difference, but if we're able to help to facilitate through ideas like people sharing their lived experiences and meeting people where they're at, and these other things, I think that all falls along the narrative of valuing the relationships. So that we don't get so focused on doing the event and the subjects that we lose sight of why we're there in the first place. And we feel like we did it because we went through the motions. But did we really form those connections and help to facilitate that? And I think those three values of those connections, positive self-image, how are people, are they walking away from this? Will they walk away from this in a deeper way, having that more positive self-image? And are they connected to, you know, to purpose and meaning in life, which is how can we help support you in your life visions?
But how are you bringing that down?
These are,
I think it comes naturally through
these
the
are-
conversation.
as we you know, as we're building our community, having a set of shared values to help keep us calibrated as to first things first in these, I think will help to continue to bring clarity to the type of metrics that we need to really look at to see quantitative improvement within our community, getting centered around some of those virtues, and there may be others that are there. So that's I just wanted to throw out there for all.
No, Brittany, and then we have Brittany, and then we have Jennifer, then Justin and Kat.
I'm okay.
Okay,
My biggest thing is, so I do a lot of community engagement. I'm always out in the community, on social media. And one of the main things is I always say, what first? What's the what? Okay, then what's the who? Who are we focusing on? Why are we doing it? And what does our end result look like? So that would be my thing, is first try to get a consensus of what our community needs. Or what are they looking for? What do they need help with the most?
I think I framed it,
Put it out.
I have ADHD, I'm sorry,
You're
everyone,
fine.
keep it going, I'm so sorry. There's a list, you got it, Gail.
Yeah, so. That's my main thing, is just, I think, Once we know what they need, we can figure out who the resources are going to be. So we don't have like an overabundance of people that really organizations we don't really need to be there, and just focusing on the needs of the community.
And do we know what the what is? Okay.
Yeah.
Justin.
Yeah, so kind of going back to what we had talked about before, I think the last meeting, having somebody facilitate. You know, it's gonna help us with that. So yeah, let's find out what, and then from there, again, those other steps, we can look, but it'll probably be good for us today to say, okay, we're gonna do this first, so that what, I like what you said, who, and then, of course, there's gonna be an educational component in how we directly connect and the impact. So if we can stay in that lane, I think that will be some steps to get us to where we need to be.
Okay.
So.
Kat, and then Herman.
Okay, I was writing it down so I didn't forget. I was gonna say, like, to go off of Jen's point, not only like what do people need to know, like the residents, but also when I first like thought of this concept with you, everyone, and talked about it, my thought was also like, what is it that we need to learn too, to do our jobs better and more efficiently to council? And so like thinking through just that kind of made me restructure some of the goals I initially stated, is like, rather than like this training of like crisis bystander intervention, maybe instead of it being that, it's like, what do you know about it? Like, what are you feel like, what is your opinion of it? Or what are your thoughts of it? Just trying to understand what the community knows and what the community is thinking, because we all have a set of ideas and knowledge because we're here. This is our role. We are kind of deeply invested in it, but I'm just curious to learn more about what other people are thinking too.
Herman, then we need you first.
But that's what this session is gonna do.
Exactly, yeah.
It's gonna come up with what? What is it that they need? That's why you have a facilitator, a mediator. It's gonna be a group thing, it's everyone's just, talking to each other, everyone's speaking, and the mediator is keeping it civil, and keeping it clear. And then we're gonna need a scribe, if you will. And then from there, you're gonna get, okay, this is what they need. I, Herman, have no idea what Jennifer needs. I cannot tell you, I might have an idea what I might think I know, but I don't. So I want to hear from you, you know what I'm saying? So I want to be able to go in there and say, okay, we're the HRC, YPAC, we're here to gather information from you, and we're going to set up that information in a way that's going to be useful to you. We're going to have a report out, what occurred, what came out of that, questions that came up. Here it's going to be the next session. It's going to be on this. These are things that you said that you wanted. So that's what that mediator, where the mediator is going to be. They're going to earn their key. You know what I'm saying? But they got to set it up so it's organized, so that what we do is just implement what came out.
So. We need I like the way.
We need an Eric.
I like the way you said that. That's exactly what it is. Let me tell you what mental health looks like in my neighborhood. Substance abuse, person can't deal. Mother with 6, 7 kids, don't know where to turn, they got no food. A fire in the home. You lost your home, eviction. That's what it looks like when your stuff is on the curb. You see people walking around like, what I'm gonna do next? This is trauma, a shooting, a death of somebody in the neighborhood, and the whole neighborhood feels it. This is what mental health looks like in my neighborhood, amongst the other things, the things that people have that have been struggling with for years, or however long, diagnosed mental health issues. So this is what mental health looks like in my neighborhood. So when I say when I ask people to come to a forum, are those the people that's coming? And are they coming to get some services? Are they coming to tell me what they need? And so we can direct them. So this is what mental health, when we say mental health, this is what it looks like. You know what I mean? Trauma is mental health. You know what I mean? These things, it's not just people that's diagnosed with certain.
That's really confined.
It's everything else. It's being, put your stuff being put out on the curb and everybody knows. And they rummage through your stuff and you don't know what to do. Or, you know, those things, substance abuse, somebody standing at the gas station. I seen a girl stripped down butt naked one day at the gas station. You know, butt naked, that's mental health. These are the things, this is how it looks in my neighborhood. Right? So how do I get those people to say, I can get some help, I can get something better, I can do something, I can try to, you know.
Oh, we're identifying things.
Yes.
And deal with and address that kind of stuff. That's why we're having one, and then we'll have two, and then we'll have third one, whatever.
Eric,
So
I have Eric, Justin, Kat, Johnny.
that ordinarily we had more runway, there would be a way to incorporate like the facilitator, mediator, whoever, like their input and advice into this framework to come out with a plan that gets it done in one session. It's July 10th. That's not possible, right? Just realistically, it's not. I haven't done any community organizing. I've done my fair share of meeting organizing. And like, we're not gonna get this sort of multidisciplinary output in one meeting on July 10th, when part of the agenda here later tonight is picking the person to whom we're then gonna turn for help planning the thing on July 10th. So I think that realistically, there's only a couple of options. Maybe it's possible for the housing and public safety ones to do them one and done. But I think that the mental health either needs to get pushed out or there need to be two meetings. And I don't really I'm not necessarily looking to have more meetings, but I'm happy to, right? And I think you could make a good argument for doing like here are the resources, what do you need? And then a second one where it's like, here's a plan that can be presented to the community, right? But I think regardless, like if we want to do it in one, it just doesn't feel achievable with any reasonable amount of quality by July 10th, given that we don't have the rest of the like organizational ducks in a row yet.
That was Justin and me.
Okay,
Yeah, it's kind of going back to the structure of it. So is it going to be our job to kind of figure out what role we're gonna play, or should we leave that up to the mediator? And I think we kind of touched on that. If we're gonna leave that up to them because they have the expertise of where we can fit, that will save a lot of time on how, you know, what we need to do for that first part.
okay, what I understood, and that's why I have the goals before the facilitator, is if we are going to hire a human being, then we have to be able to say, we are having, Ypsilanti is having a joint HRC, YPAC meetings on mental health. This is session one. This is what we are going to, session one is about mental health. It's our first one. It's an overall idea. So give that person an idea of what we want, and then they can go to the community to find out the specifics. That's what I understood when I was making the agenda, when I, so if I'm off, then,
So that, I think, no, that's.
And I think I'm mixed up.
no, please, no, so if then we need, then change it, but that's why things are in the order that they are, to answer your question, Justin.
Am I after Justin and Jennifer?
Okay, after Justin, we have Kat and then Johnny,
Oh, okay.
and then Jennifer.
Did you finish? You want to keep going?
Yeah, I'm done for now.
Okay. I was gonna add to what you said and what Juanita said, and I think that I agree, people who have mental health issues or who have loved ones with mental health issues, albeit however that presents itself. Diagnoses are just an insurance purpose anyway, so it is possible that people experience that without having a formal diagnosis. And I do think it's important that if we're asking people to go there to share their experiences with us, which can be traumatic and vulnerable, et cetera, if it would be helpful to have services there, like we mentioned, to be able to connect people to, because that's not our active role. Like we're commissioners of trying to understand the layout of what's coming from those town halls or if it forums. And I liked what Herman said about having a mediator kind of compile what was being talked about and a report of like action items that can come of that. Cause I think that's kind of what helps with people, is that a lot of people in the community seem to be tired of more talking sessions. And what would be helpful is that what you echoed is having some actions come of this from the facilitator and how that can move on to the next one even.
So, Johnny?
Thank you for this opportunity to give my opinion. I'm just a concerned citizen, and I'm on neither commission, but that kind of really ties a knot in what I want to point to, because I work with it right away, and I'm our community engagement specialist. One of the things that I see on a regular basis are all the people that Juanita so accurately pointed to. Those people directly on an everyday basis. And specifically, so having the breakout rooms, having the collective discussions about who's gonna regulate and modulate the behaviors of those who are gathered again to talk about again the issues. But who's gonna address the naked woman at the gas station? Who's gonna tell the mom and comfort the mom whose house just burned down? And that's why I do realize and recognize the value of having a specific goal. It is the collective goal here to meet individual needs of our citizenry, or to again get specialists and educators together to talk about helping the people that Juanita made mention of. What's the specific goal? Oh, yeah.
Right, everyone.
But at what point do we get the woman so close?
Yeah.
I'm not going to, and I'm not agreement that you shared.
So the services being.
Any more meetings,
So yes, that's.
because at what point do we stop meeting and start?
But that's where,
Putting
but that information will come out of, this is an agency, I don't know, what ABC clothing company.
Right.
You know, I'm trying to explain about it. You know, that agency will be there and say, we will provide that, we can do that. So when this comes up and the police department or whomever shows up, can they call you? And then you will say, okay, I will be there right away. I will be there right now. I will let that person know that we have clothing for her. You know what I'm saying? I don't know that. I don't know what agency does those kinds of things. And for me, as a, citizen out here, I would like to be able to do that. If my next door neighbor's house burned down or whatever, I'd be able to say, I know some agencies, we have pulled them together. They are aware that we are working together as a total community to address this kind of concern. So that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying these sessions, we are just pulling together resources. We're not just talking. We are identifying, and that information will go out somehow. We've got to get that information out, whether it's through flyers or whatever. Afterwards, July 10th, we met, and July 11th, it's too soon, probably July 12th, we're gonna send out a report. This is who showed up, this is what's there, this is what is at your disposal, or you can access that. Flyers went out there somehow, however that information, or the website, whatever, that information has gotten out there. But we are also going to say, we have another session, because in this session, housing came. And that's gonna be the next session, it's gonna be on housing, that's how, and we progress out of, this is a organic, ongoing It is not gonna be, we're gonna fix it one session and done. We're gonna continue this.
Jennifer, you've been patient, so thank you very much.
Not a problem.
I appreciate your patience.
So just a little suggestion that maybe considering we're like less than 2 weeks.
Right, and
From
we're also
July
running out of
10th.
time, so I was gonna move it.
What if the first, like July 10th, we just kind of did like a meet and greet with the community, had like comment cards, had them come in, had donuts, coffee, whatever, and just kind of got an idea and a feel for what they needed.
Yeah.
We can verbally have a discussion, but we can also have like comment cards for those that don't feel comfortable enough to put their business out there. And then this way, the next one, further out, we'll have a better understanding of who, what, when, where, and why.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
The thing that I've heard the most, and to move this on, is that as I've been taking notes, the thing I'm writing down the most is pulling together resources. So I'm gonna blow out my age at this point in time. So it sounds like creating some sort of a yellow pages.
Yep.
You know, and anybody who's worked in this area has said that we need this, and everybody says that we need this, and we still all say that we need this. So, I mean, we're doing that again, so that's the thing that I'm hearing the most. So I'm gonna go to Kathleen, we haven't heard from Kathleen, Kat, and Bonita, with somebody else's hand up besides Kat's? Oh, okay, how about Daniel, how about Kathleen, Kat, Daniel? And then moving on to the next, the mediator and the facilitator. So we have at least can start a conversation about.
I just want to put some, not talking points, but some thinking points out there, and I believe Juanita and I must stay in the same neighborhood. Because the people that are in the throes of a mental health crisis, they don't know what they need. They are unable to articulate their needs, and they do not know what is available to them, what is out there. You can have 100 tables with resources lined up. But if I'm experiencing a mental health crisis, I am not in the right frame of mind to say, oh, I need to go over here and fill out this for a voucher for housing. And then I need to go over here and get clothing for my children. I'm not thinking like that.
You won't be able to attend.
Correct.
Yeah, they wanna be.
So that was one of the things that I took, one of my takeaways. The second one was when we were hoping to get some people to share and be vulnerable about their successes or failures when dealing with the mental health system, rather than just have random people come up. Why don't we pre-select maybe 1 or 2 people that can share their experiences and their successes in the stream of agencies that they've used? How were they introduced to these agencies? You know, maybe where I started versus where I am now, as opposed to just people coming up and saying, oh, well, I did this and I did that and I did this. You know, and that way these people have an opportunity to really think about what it is they want to say and what they want to share. And they're kind of forewarned that they're going to be sharing their vulnerabilities, and they're better able to do that. Another thing that I had, and I'm done after this, is I work with a lot of people in mental health crisis. That's what I'm saying, how they think, how some of them think. A lot of people that are also experiencing mental health crises are unable to focus. So if you have this multiple hour-long seminar or town hall, it's too much stimulation. And I think that we may, or just a potential that we can turn those that we most want to help, that we're turning them away by overstimulating them.
Thank you for sharing that, Commissioner McCormick or Kathleen. Gosh, I was gonna go off of that, the pre-selecting. I think that goes back to the panel idea, right? Of like having someone share their information to people. And then also, there's already, just working in social services in the county, there's already like so many resource maps that exist in the county already. Some are outdated, some are not. A lot of them are trying to be compiled together to have more of a streamlined process. I know Briarway was helping out with one when I was on a committee. But there's one right now that's like called the survival guide for people who are unhoused by the Washtenaw General Defense Committee. And they update theirs every couple of months. So like rather than reinventing the wheel and creating yellow pages, essentially, we can just have access to those there so we can utilize our time in other ways.
Getting that information out.
Yeah, and we
Because I
could
do
get
this work and I didn't, right.
yeah, I'm same, and you don't really know until you know, so we could get little physical booklets actually and have those available too. But
Or a QR code. Daniel.
Yeah, I was just gonna advocate for that we do something. And I like the idea, it doesn't have to be as complex to go, but that we get out there and we begin to engage in a greater way. And I think we can, it doesn't take much to have some food, have a gathering, and go out. Relationship.
I second that, especially with the time that we have.
Brittany.
I want to say that this may not, it feels like this is going in a few different directions. And the direction that I think that this may not want to go into is like a therapy session for the people in need. We may not get the naked woman, but we may get her sister. You know, we may get her sister that wants to help her, or we may get her neighbor. We may not get her in her moment of crisis coming in and looking for help, and like the people that may be overstimulated, but we may get like their community members that can help them, or we may not be able to reach everybody and their specific needs in this one event. Because we can't do that for everybody, but I think that if we can touch on some people and some people that touch on people that need help, that at least we're doing something and trying to get the resources out there to the, you know, in a fringe way to members of our community that wouldn't have that exposure in other ways. And I'm hesitant to make this into like an experience where people are going to come in and share their deepest and darkest moments. I don't think that do we even want that? I mean, maybe in the breakout rooms, if people want to go there, but I like the idea of like pre-planned people, giving a roadmap of the resources that they used. Hey, we have these resources here, but I don't know. I
don't think we're equipped to take that on and be like, thank you for sharing. Have a good day now after the town hall. Like that's definitely, I don't think a good goal to have is, I think what you said makes sense is more of like where are the different gaps and things happening right now, not like your specific issues that you're experiencing that you need services right now, because Kathleen's right. People in crises are unable to necessarily articulate that. And I wasn't really thinking people in crises would maybe show up to this specifically, but I mean, it does happen. But
We're all in crisis.
right, true,
That's the
very true. Good point. You can say that again.
At any given time, any of us are in a crisis, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But my thinking also is that we're gonna have the police department. We're gonna have the fire department. We're gonna have people, those folks there, so that they are also hearing and seeing. These are the places that any of us can go. I have friends who work for the mental health department who are, they're direct, they work with direct services who are gonna show up. I have social worker friends who are gonna show up so that they can also have input into what kinds of things can be done or can be offered. And as well as, you know, they can be there to set up sessions if things need to happen. But the breakout sessions really are about, Johnny, it's about gathering information, but letting them know, letting you know. We've heard what you said, and this is something that we're gonna be looking at and trying to support and working on. This is gonna happen, and the police department is hearing it. the police department needs to hear this and they need to be able to work on that. The fire department heard it, you know what I'm saying? So different people are hearing it. I know what you're saying, what do we do? What's gonna come out of this so that they feel that they're, and in fact, spill your guts in a place that is really not safe. You know, to share all this stuff. You know.
What if the vision was something like a community response to mental health crisis? Like, or like equipping a community response to community health.
That's good. Thank you, Katie.
That could be the focus.
That's a great idea.
Sorry, that's after listening. That was after listening to you guys for like, sometimes after like 15 minutes or so, or 20 minutes or so. Like,
I
we're
like
just
that.
something like that, right? Cause that's essentially what we're saying is we're all observers, right? And so, or participants in this experience.
Or both, right?
Right, or both. And so we're trying to figure out like collectively, how do we like respond to this trauma that we're seeing / experiencing? And what do we do and how do we respond to it?
I think that goes back to what I suggested first in the very beginning, which was crisis and bystander intervention
Right.
work.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
That's a category.
So-
I think you have,
I just really quick want to piggyback off what Herman said. Be mindful that often, sometimes in a community like this, police and fire department aren't always necessarily needed for people to talk because they're part of the problem sometimes. So just be mindful, let's gain their trust and give them knowledge first before we possibly traumatize them more.
right, okay, just.
Well, I mean, they need to know, because if they in the community and they exacting some of this mental health issues, they have to know, so.
It's not.
It's no, let me finish. So it's like if I get shot, I'm on the corner, my body sit out there for 30 minutes, the police out here. Why the police shouldn't know that what they doing is traumatizing the whole neighborhood? They should. They should know that. Because that's what it did. It traumatized the whole neighborhood. Now, everybody got mental health issues because everybody sat out and seen a dead body on the street for 4 hours. Police didn't know, or they didn't care, so they should know that this, what you did affected this whole community.
And I respect that and I acknowledge that, but I also think in mental health form, sometimes their solution is lock up. And it's not necessarily, you don't find that as a safe, like I'm an individual who suffered from mental illness. My mother suffers from mental
All of
illness.
us.
You know, and I've seen firsthand sometimes the trauma that comes with not understanding in that kind of job, how to handle things. So your first instinct is to lock up, throw away the key and not get to the root of what it is.
And that they have to be involved in the conversation because it's not gonna change if they're not involved in the conversation. The woman that took her clothes off at the gas station, the police showed up, what you think they was gonna do? Lock her up. But if they engaged with us as well, they would know, well, hey, maybe she shouldn't be locked up. Let me call Ann from crisis intervention, or maybe let me call Paul from over here to some house. And that would have been their first thought, but they're not thinking like that now. They have to be trained as well.
Yeah.
They live in the community as well as we do.
So I know I can't do this technically as the chair, but I'm gonna go on a limb. I'm gonna propose that we like go to discussing the potential candidates and for facilitator and mediator, and if you know that this person has wanted to be a facilitator or mediator or both in the skills, because maybe is, if we start talking about some of these people, it will give us another door into our conversation about organizing, about the community response, and how, because that's what we're getting down to is the community response. So I know that anyway, so Judy Harvey, who wrote Judy Harvey?
She was one of my, we got two, right? I remember we had two.
Yeah, you could do two, but Judy Harvey, do you wanna speak for her or?
No, well, I wasn't able to talk to her, and so since I haven't talked to her, I don't want to say, I know that she has experience in leading in NAMI. I don't know too much about her experience, and I spoke with her husband, and he has said that he was gonna talk to her, because he wasn't sure, so I don't wanna say too much without,
Okay, so we can move Leah Chapman?
yeah. Now Leah's great. She's phenomenal. Here, I'm just gonna read you some stuff that she's done. This is.
Are you talking about Leah Mills?
Yeah.
That's about Leah Chapman.
They're the same person.
Oh,
Yeah.
I just see them with.
Okay, okay.
I noticed that on my
Yeah,
original too. I
okay.
think there's.
I wrote
Sorry.
through, so Justin takes that.
I saw the name, I thought.
You can add on too, so I know you know her as well.
Sure.
But yeah, she has like extensive amount of service as a clinical therapist. She's the owner, she's done mental health professional teachings, client service manager. I mean, she's done great things. Like I just want to talk about personal experience. I've seen her actually get up there and do some presentations, and she's very detailed. She's from the area, and I know we had talked about bringing somebody that's actually from here. She's very engaged with community, so she also has connections to many other people that might be helpful for what we're doing as well. And she just has years and years of experience. So, yeah, if you want to add on, you can add on.
Sure, no,
Right.
I've seen her do both mediate and facilitate. Okay. So she's done the facilitation of just the moving the meeting along, but then when things got emotional, because it's going to be with everything that we talk about and everything that we do, she's been able to take it down to, okay, let's move it, let's think about it. So she does have the ability to, I hate to use such a buzzword because I'm so against buzzword, but she has the ability to unpack it, to get down to what the core is.
I like
And to
that.
move people to another place and to think about something in a different way instead of the groove that we're in. Like she'll come in from a different direction.
I like that she has what you mentioned, Justin, the mental health experience too, because as it relates to mediation, that will come very handy as a skill. So if we're interested in Leah and she has the skills of both mediator and facilitator, then maybe we could look specifically next to see if there's someone that excels in facilitation skills and Leah can fill in with mediation as well. I'm just throwing that out there, but I've also seen, I've seen Leah, talk and, de-escalate situations and I do value that. So yeah.
Jennifer Simmons?
Okay, the next two, there's a mediator and facilitator, that's two that I picked. To be honest with you guys, I did not reach out to them, and this was just after like a quick search. I don't have any experience with them, I just kind of looked at people that were local that looked like they did this sort of thing.
Jennifer was on the board for the Dispute Resolution Center, so she's been trained through the Dispute Resolution Center.
Yes, she is,
I've worked a lot with.
okay, I found her as on the list of approved civil mediators in the Washtenaw County Trial Courts. Is where I found her, and then I found Julianne Trudell, she's a contact community engagement coordinator. For Ypsilanti Township. But again, I have no personal experience, so I would.
Is this the former council member?
I was gonna say, she's a
Okay.
council member.
And she's a
she was at
lawyer,
DMC,
right?
she was.
Or she worked at HR?
She was a lawyer, or she has her law degree, she works in human relations, and she's a former police officer.
But if we haven't talked to her, July 10th is around the corner.
Right, but I have this, she wasn't my list, but these are what I know about Jennifer.
So far, oh, sorry.
No.
I was gonna say, so far on the list that we've read, so far on the list we've read thus far, Leah is the one person we for sure have talked to.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do we know if she's available on that date?
I'll double check.
Okay, so we don't.
That's the one I submitted. She's willing to be either or, and she said she was that they would be available, but I didn't follow up with her because I told her we need to give her more information on what direction.
Like the goal,
What we do.
we're doing. Could you tell us a little bit about her?
So,
Okay,
so she,
She did a lot of, oh, I'm sorry, she did a lot of research from what she told me with the police department and trauma focused
okay.
and mental health in the community and things like that. You can do the rest.
so she also, she was hired from the sheriff's office she's the
Oh,
epidemiologist.
she's the epidemiologist.
And she has been instrumental in going through, I think, over 160,000 cases within our area and looked at violence from the context of from a mental health crisis. She has the extensive background on multiple levels in this area. And so she's pretty qualified.
I remember someone mentioned it.
Yes, and she's been working as well with the community violence
So
intervention.
she's on CBIT.
She has done presentations for the CBIT, the community violence.
Ms. Kayla,
That's the person that is no longer available.
thank you. Anthony Morgan.
Who picked that?
Okay.
That's up.
So we have right now, we have taken the list down to two. To Leah Mills Chapman.
Why don't we just invite them all? It's three.
Wait, so who's still on our list?
Leah.
Leah Mills Chapman and
Adrian.
Adriana Waller.
Cause ain't they the same person?
Yeah, Leah Chapman and Leah Mills are the same person.
Yeah, so that's.
Wasn't there three? No.
No, well,
Leah's listed twice.
Yeah, the only two people we have talked to is Judy, or no, is Leah and Adrian. And both of those people expressed interest and both of those people were recommended highly, is what it seems like.
So that's not even, mayor.
so does somebody,
When you that, it's hard.
will somebody, okay, well, is somebody willing to contact Leah Mills Chapman, and see if she is available on the tenth, and do we have a time,
We don't have that one, thank you, me.
7 to 9?
Anytime after 5.
It was 5 to 8. 5 to 8? Okay, 5 to 8, and is anybody else willing to contact
July 10th, 5 to 8 is what we said.
July 10th? What days?
Wednesday, you said you weren't gonna be here.
2 weeks from yesterday.
I cannot do 5 o'clock. But that doesn't,
We can.
you can go, I was just gonna say, but I don't need to be, no, I know, I don't need to be there. But I remember talking about time.
Yeah, that's.
5
a good
o'clock,
point.
5
My work
o'clock.
day ends at.
Nobody, I mean, if you work day shifts,
There's that one.
if you work day shifts, very few people are out of work and being able to move by 5 o'clock. So I'm gonna propose that we at least go to 6 or to 7, because so we're thinking about the traditional work shifts.
6 to 9.
6, yeah.
Okay, so 6 to 9, and then we have, are you willing to, Daniel, are you willing to contact or Juanita?
No, I did my part.
Oh, you did?
Hey.
Are we, so, are we changing it to 6 to 9?
Mom, that's 6 to.
Voting on that.
3 hours?
You guys wanna formally vote on that?
It doesn't have to go that, it doesn't have to go that long, but you.
So if we do 6 to 8, have food,
Yeah, we've got your time.
and have food from 6 to 7 or 6 to.
On a Wednesday night.
6
6 to 8.
On a Wednesday.
Although we're gonna have food?
We gotta have some.
Ain't nobody go around with it.
Does the city, does the city have any good relationships with any restaurants or any?
I know something, I know.
Okay, can we have one voice,
Yeah.
can we have one voice in the room, please? Because we have a lot of different groups. Okay. Eric, what were you saying?
do you guys think that? So we're talking about 6 to 9 with like an hour for eating, so 7 to 9? Do 2 hours feel even? Well, yeah, I mean, that was one of the conversations.
It's just so you can go.
People 6 to 5, there's gonna be food.
6 to 8.
I'm thinking about passing
So
out
I
napkins,
guess,
and you cover your mouth while we talking, this is the eating, no, we gotta. We go break the groups.
I'm
No,
not
I'm
gonna hurt
saying-
time.
oh, wait, we're back to one voice, please.
That's because we discussing it.
I know you're discussing, but can we discuss as a group?
Time to take stack again.
I agree with Herman, that we walk and talk, and we eat as
Okay.
we go.
Okay. Yeah, it could be, I mean, really, it could be set up that way, that, you
no,
know,
that's fine.
you grab your, you know, you grab your.
No, not.
We started.
Say 6 to 8.
6 to 8?
Yeah, I thought,
Do 3 because you got kids and you know, they just got off work, like.
Okay,
So
I guess
6 to
I
8.
worry, I just wonder, like. I have yet to see one of these like community meeting things go in 2 hours, you know what I mean? So. I guess we're gonna need a lot of
It'd
help.
be the
figuring it out.
facilitator's job to move it along.
we're 6 to 8:30. Just kidding. Let's settle.
Okay,
One
Daniel.
idea too is to have the start time. And we kind of focus it more on, I mean, if we go through it pretty quickly, we can finish early. But at least we have a start time, and we've had some meetings where because it was such a impactful moment. Because people did open up, you know, at times like this, for not exactly situations exactly like this, it's kind of unique. But to then give room for that, but I think it is good to have a closing time, but
You gotta have.
to be able to feel it out relationally.
Mhm.
I think sometimes I've noticed when we've done stuff for the closing time, sometimes it's been helpful and sometimes it's been not so helpful.
So we have 10 minutes. 6 to 8. Okay. So,
Just starts at 6.
yes, starts at 6.
And
So are we just contacting Leah? Yes.
What about if we do 6 to 9 and if we do it earlier? Shut it down earlier, that downtime, that meal around, the soothing or whatever, would that work?
Yeah, I,
Cause you can't hype people up and just leave them up there.
right, I think,
And send 'em out in the
I
street.
think 6, it doesn't matter what I think. So what I'm hearing on, what I have heard on the floor is 6 to 8, eat and talk and move it out. Or 6 to 9, that's milling, eating, talking, downtime and out. And the facilitator, if I'm hearing this correctly, the facilitator will be actually facilitating for somewhat the same time, but with the 6 to 9, we have the padding. So to build the relationships both ways, that way we can there's enough of us on the floor, we'll have enough of us people there that we can check in with people before they walk out. Because if we have facilitators, that means our jobs is just going to be out watching the group and seeing what's going on to making sure that what's happening.
The third option would be just at 6. We have a clear kind of stop time around 9, but how we advertise it is we start at 6. And we don't advertise an end time publicly, but privately, we're like, we do need to clean up.
Right. So then the third option is, so it's 6 to 8. 6 to 9. Or 6 to.
Starts at 6.
Starts at 6, starts at 6, ends at 8, starts at 6, ends at 9.
Start
And then starts at 6 and
in when we have to.
we end when it needs to end, but we know that we have to be out of the building by 9.
sorry, could you say 6 to 8 or start at 6 and it's a 2-hour forum?
I think that,
That's being too.
We need to make it.
Yeah, so we do, we have like 24 minutes now, but I was gonna say,
We only really have 10 minutes.
okay, well, I was gonna say.
We have to be out of here and cleaned up And so we
Okay.
have 10 minutes.
Some of us here, if not maybe most of us, don't really feel excited to necessarily sit 3 hours in a meeting, just like, so it's kind of hard to expect other people to want to do that as well.
With the breakout.
So I know, so part of me is wondering like how we're flowing this, like kind of like come in and come out like where you can. And if we have like a full hour of eating specifically, that would push it back. So I'm wondering, I like.
We have somebody lead a vote and just see.
I make a motion to do 6 to 8.
I just do 6.
All right,
Wait,
I made a motion. Okay, Katie,
Okay.
you take it.
Can't keep up.
Is there a second for Kat's motion?
No, I don't, I want to rescind my motion because the conversation has been no game time, apparently. I didn't know.
That was me. That was
Oh.
just me.
We had 3, 6 to 8, 6 to 9, you know.
Sure, but I heard Kat made a motion and that was the
Okay,
first
okay,
time I
that's
actually heard a motion.
Yeah. You made a motion.
So don't we have,
Is there a
how do you
second?
take something off? No, there's no section, so no one seconds it.
I just rescinded my motion.
We spent a lot of time on
Yeah.
this right here. We haven't even did advertising, sounds, we got sound system, refreshments.
But so is everybody in agreement with 6 and the open end time?
Yep.
Yeah, so it's not,
Yes.
that's the motion.
Made a motion, man.
But
I make
I,
a motion that we have a start time at 6 and we just have an open.
Second that.
So Justin, are you comfortable contacting with Leah Chapman and
Yep.
see if she can work on the 10th at 6? With the idea that it is a 9 o'clock end time, but it's not gonna be publicized, but so we
Yep.
can, okay?
Why don't you just contact them all? Why are we just, we got too many moving parts.
I can, who knows? So I can call HABS.
Yeah, we gotta go.
We shutting down around 8:45 PM. So if you have anything to say or to print, please do that shortly.
We didn't get
So wait, what I've agreed with, what I worked with the library is we can go until 45 as long as we clean up. So that's what we've negotiated with the library.
We know what.
I mean, so right, and so this way,
We're not that.
the sound system. So the sound system can be cleaned up and you can get everything done and out by the time 9 o'clock comes. So as long as we're helping Katie get out of here. You're supposed to have somebody else here beside you, but we won't talk about that. Okay, so so if I understand correctly, so for the records, we have 2 people being contacted for facilitation and mediation. Okay.
Who's contacting?
Yeah, we didn't decide which one's facilitator.
Who's contacting whom and what are you asking them?
Contact agent.
Or to be a facilitator or mediator or both?
Either or, let's just move on.
Yeah, because Leah's both, so we
If they
should.
both,
Yeah, when you have 2 strong people like that,
yeah.
they will play off of one another and assume the roles as necessary.
So we want them to work together, so we're
Correct.
talking about hiring them both. Okay,
So. How do we say it?
so,
Stop it, Gary.
so the format of the event, leave that to the facilitators and the mediators.
Yes.
Are people comfortable with having them?
They're the professionals.
Right, but just sort of having them, start, finish time, we've done that.
Yep.
We're advertising. Advertising, do we want to make a subgroup of advertising and creating advertising? Because we have very limited time at this point in time.
Yeah, is there like 1 or 2 people who wanna do that?
1 or 2.
Daniel?
Daniel,
The volunteer to make.
right now, we're making a subgroup, we're just putting together a subgroup.
For what? What's the?
For the
advertising? To make it or to have someone else make it? Cause that's what, I'm wondering, we are not gonna have a lot of time, but it's like 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks from now. if
I
we-
would say to discuss it, make it, figure out what it is and then get it to the rest of us to advertise.
And I can make sure we can get a flyer together pretty like, with-
Daniel, I'll work with you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Daniel.
Daniel and Gail are doing advertising.
Thank you both. And okay.
The sound system, if I remember correctly, Steve Wilcoxon was gonna bring in the sound system.
He did volunteer.
He did volunteer,
Okay,
a megaphone. Refreshments,
we got his information,
yes.
We do.
so.
So well, I can say, I know her, but you guys probably know her too. Gina Austin.
Who?
Gina Austin, she's done a lot of things for MC schools, so she can provide it's gonna cost, I don't know what they say to her, you know, we're looking at 200 or 300 people, or we're looking at 50 people, we're looking at a snack like food, we're not looking for a dinner, right? We're just
It's
looking for
6
something
o'clock,
that-
we need to feed people, they're done with work.
She got good food.
I was gonna say, I
What
mean,
is she got a truck? Food truck?
She doesn't have a truck yet.
Okay, so what is she?
She does catering, she does.
So do you want to reach out, reaching out reaching out to people
Vegan
for.
stuff.
yeah, I was gonna ask, like, do we wanna just, I have a person what if we try, would we be okay with asking people for donations as well? Like, would that be something, cause I
Do not know, maybe Michelle, you know how we can do funding, can we ask for funding?
So I will say, at our last meeting, we did allocate $2,000, but that was for all the commission.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a pot of money that
Not that.
we could utilize, but I think it was $2,000 for, again, all of the commission.
It's like, how, can I, like.
So you kind of ask flyers.
So-
Huh? We'll need some of that for the flyers.
Yeah.
So.
How do we get more resources into that pot?
That's the question for another-
It was even a hard thing.
We can't be sidetracked now. Look what time it is. What kind of food you got?
Okay, food.
Does anyone know someone with a food truck too?
I was gonna say, does anybody have food truck?
Derek Shelton, anyone know Derek Shelton? He was a teacher in Will Run, he has a food truck,
We're gonna coordinate between, she's with that hers.
seeds and
She's great.
chicken. I think the ribs, so I think.
So if we bring a food truck, are we going to cover the food for the food truck for 45 minutes? Or are we going to expect that people can purchase food from a food truck?
That sounds good.
We have 1 minute left. What are we gonna do here, guys?
Well, we're talking about it.
But we have to end in 1 minute, this meeting.
Right.
Okay, well, now the next minute is.
Or are we gonna have like regular meeting food, some cookies, donuts and water and coffee and punch?
Perfect. That would be cost effective.
And that's in that $2,000 budget, our share.
Last
Maybe we
thing.
can get some sponsors.
So I will volunteer
I'll be
myself.
on the refreshing commission.
I will volunteer myself to contact with both the city council liaisons and the manager to find out how we access funds.
Thank you.
Because once we have funding, then we can have a conversation. And then I will communicate with people. I think some of you might not know, but I'm Gail Walkoff. You've probably gotten emails from me asking information. You know, why can't we get them individually? But anyway, and then I will get the information. If you know of people who have restaurants, have food trucks, if you have food ideas for the next 48 hours, I will be collecting your food ideas.
We end up needing someone to go to Costco, I will go to Costco and figure out the reimbursement.
Thank you.
Then-
So send ideas to Gail within 48 hours.
So Gail is collecting, finding out money.
Is there anybody else that wants to help with food?
I did,
Well,
but
we're-
I mean, we should just,
And then send food ideas to Gail.
That's all you're doing. You're helping by sending it to Gail.
that's it.
I think so. After you like one, yeah.
Because who will pick it up and everything, even though.
Well, then we'll figure that out as we go.
That's why we need to go on, who was it, me, you and him?
So Gail, I think that,
No,
I don't wanna plan, I just wanna buy.
that's what I'm saying, you know,
Always buy.
we not gonna make it too complicated.
Okay.
Do we have an idea of how many people, I mean,
No idea.
50 to 70. Just kidding, I made that up.
Oh, I just said we don't have to store.
Okay, it is now 8:46. We need to end this meeting. Do I have a motion that we?
So I think we need to, I think we still need to do public comment though.
Oh, I lied. Never mind. I didn't say a word. So we are at the end, public comments.
But I think that we probably need to, do we need to do a motion to table the rest of the items until our next meeting?
Move that we take the rest of the items after public comments until the next meeting.
Second.
This is gonna.
Okay, public comments.
All right, I think we go for it, Cornelius, teacher.
Is my mic working? Can you guys hear me
Yep,
this time?
you're good.
Okay. All right, I won't, it sounds like you're in a rush to get out of there. I won't take up too much of your time. I think it's great to see like this group together and as impassioned as you are about like mental health issues in the community and substance use issues in the community. There's a lot of folks that are already doing community engagement, and there's a lot of folks that are already trying really, really hard to meet needs like clothing people and getting people safer use supplies and feeding people. The unfortunate thing is a lot of those folks, myself included, are doing most of this work for free because we're not getting funded. And just in the last month, like 3 of the orgs in Ypsi that are working have tried to get funding and motion from city council, and they've all been denied. And it was a crisis support group, a crisis response group called Care-Based Safety. It was the drug checking initiative that we talked about. And you know, there was a resolution for 50,000 to go to Fed Up, who provides food and showers to folks. And you know, city council opted to reduce that to 20,000 and then tabled that resolution. So the point being, there are folks that are talking to the community to ask what the needs are. Those folks are already doing the work in the community to meet those needs, and for whatever reason aren't getting money to expand those services. And that's what needs to happen. So if you guys can use your political capital as a joint body to push for that in the city, that would be a great investment of your time and energy. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'm still adjourned.
Second.
Susan, who seconded?
Daniel.
Daniel seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned at 8:49.
Thank you.
John, what's your last name?
What's your email? You want me to contact you, right? Gail?
Looking for your text.
I'm gonna text you right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
that way you don't have to wait for long.